Hey y'all, hey. So I'm coming to y'all with a midday afternoon read from Proverbs chapter 29, verse 8 and 9 is what stood out to me. And it's so good. I'm going to read it first and then I'll break it down for you guys. So scoffers said of city of flame is what verse 8 reads, but the wise turn away wrath. Verse 9 says, if a wise man has an argument with a fool, the fool only rages and laughs, and there is no quiet. My loves, what I will say this message meant to me is, I had a conversation with my daughter's father, right? And I'm not going to disclose the details of the conversation because that part of it doesn't matter. But we were trying to come to an agreement on something, right? And while we were discussing the topic at hand, there was no agreement that we could come up with that was rational. Now, in my mind, going into the agreement, I said, I'm going to stand firm on what it is that I feel. I'm not pivoting away from it. So whatever the end result is, it is what it is. I'm not going to allow this conversation to take me out of character. Y'all know the enemy always playing and working. So I had this great thought and God had this powerful test he was about to reveal. Now this happened obviously a month ago or so before I got to where I am now. And so I failed, y'all, but it's okay because that's where grace comes in. So when he countered the agreement that we were supposed to be making, he said something that really triggered me. And instead of me in that moment taking a woosah and leaving it with God and deciding to end the conversation like a wise man would in this read, I stepped into the pits of hell from a foolish standpoint, and I allowed the enemy to use me in a way that I went completely out of character, cursing, just all kinds of things. And like I said, mind you, this was before I started my fast and was ascended to a place where I don't use that type of language anymore for reference. But what I learned from that in hindsight, and even in reading the scripture, which is confirmation, once you've ascended to a place of knowledge and wisdom, you no longer step into places from a foolish perspective. You have no reason to argue with people that don't deserve that type of energy. You are slow to anger, quick to pray, and I said that earlier. You cannot let people control your mood. As Bishop T.D. Jakes said earlier in a sermon I was watching, you give people too much power over you when they can change your mood in the blink of an eye. No one should be able to have that much control over your circumstances, over your mood, over your aura, over your being. Only person that has that type of control over anything that we concern is God. And he is a just God that operates in love and light. So there's no reason why he would ever make us anger in that way. Even when we get frustrated in our natural mind, supernaturally, God is always working it out for our greatest good. So then when I say this, my loves, ask yourself, have you had a situation where you've chosen a foolish way of dealing with someone that is not going to, once you end that conversation or in that relationship or in that circumstance, not going to care 1 second about it? They're going to go back into their life laughing and joking and just being in their own element while you're so bent out of shape. You have to be slow to anger, quick to pray, and also leaving it with God. You're not always going to agree. You're not always going to find your brothers and sisters' actions as favorable, but at the end of the day, you can control how you respond to it. My loves, let Proverbs 29 verse 8 and 9 be your guide. Don't be foolish. Use your wisdom, exercise knowledge that you've been given from the good news, and act accordingly. You are what God says you are. Nothing more, nothing less than that, my loves. Understand, as I always tell you, this message was a good one. Talk to you guys soon.